Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm filming in a different location today. I'm at my dad's house, so that's why the background is different. It's kind of like when you change your background on Zoom and you're like in an aquarium. It's kind of like that, you know? Today I'm finally starting A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This book came out like a week ago. Most people have like already read it by now, but you know what? That's fine. I'm here now, and I'm reading it now. This book is 768 pages. Am I excited to read 768 pages? No. I strongly believe that no book needs to be that long. Like, come on. Like, honestly, I really don't think it needs to be that long. And, you know, something tells me that this book doesn't need to be that long either. But am I going to read every single page? Yes. Yes, I am. And that's just that. As we all know, A Court of Silver Flames is about Nesta, Feyre's sister, Feyre's bitch sister. So am I excited to read 700 and whatever pages about Nesta? No. No, definitely not. As we all know, if you have seen my previous videos or you follow me on Twitter or whatever, you know that I am Nesta's #1 hater. I hate her. She is my least favorite character in the entire series. Probably, honestly. I just declared that right now. I'm thinking of other characters that I also hate, like the bad guys, but they're irrelevant now. You know what I mean? They're basically irrelevant now. So Nesta sucks, and I am like her #1 hater, and that is just that. She is a grade A biatch, and I don't like that. Again, am I excited to read basically almost 800 pages about Nesta? No, absolutely not. But will it change my mind? That is really the question. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and stuff saying that like they hated Nesta before reading the book and now they like her and whatever. But I don't see myself feeling that way. I just don't understand how I can go from this pure hatred for this character to liking her in any way. I don't know how I could get there. I really don't. Like, what could she do in this book that will make me like her? This reading vlog will be filled with spoilers. Just absolutely filled with them. I'm not gonna hold back info. There will be spoilers. So if you have not read this book yet and you want to, I probably wouldn't continue watching this book. I mean, it is your choice, you know, but you can't say that I didn't warn you. You know, I'm trying to I'm trying to ignore the fact that this book is about Nesta and remember that like Cassian is gonna be a big part in this book. So like I'm excited for like the plot, if you get what I mean. If you get what I mean. I'm just really trying here. I'm trying to stay positive for Nesta's book. And I just don't know how much more positive that I can be. I hate her so much. She is one of the worst characters I think I've read about. She is horrible. She's horrible. She's so awful. She is like the toxic friend. I personally do not think that this book will make me like her because even if she like redeems herself or whatever, it's not going to take away from all the other shit that she said and did in the other books. There's no way that whatever she does and says in this book will like nullify the bullshit that she pulled in the other books. I can't deal with her. So yes, I'm going to be starting it today. I still haven't started it yet, so I will be starting it later, and I will talk to y'all when I have some thoughts on Miss Nesta and her book. What's up, party people? Okay, I have thoughts. Thots. I have thoughts. I'm about 100 pages into A Court of Silver Flames now, and like I said, I have thoughts. Right off the bat, I do want to say that I am very grateful that the entire book is not like in Nesta's point of view, you know? I mean, it's never like first person either, because it goes back and forth from like her to Cassian in like different chapters, which I appreciate because I think if the entire book was just Nesta, I would lose my mind. So right now, Nesta has been forced to go live at the House of Wind and train with Cassian and work in the library. You know, it was, she could pick to do that, or she could go live in the human lands. Like, I honestly just wish that Feyre and Rhysand and all of them that were like financially supporting her life for no reason, pretty much, I wish that they just threw her back there. Didn't give her an option, just threw her away. Just put her in the garbage. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Her attitude is absolutely ugly. It's horrid. It's so disgusting. I hate her so much. I cannot stand her. Like, she's just so unlikable. That's it. That's really it. So on the Kindle app, you can like highlight and stuff to like annotate. I've highlighted so many different like quotes and things that Nesta has said or things that Nesta has thought that just enrage me. So we're gonna read some of those. During the scene where Feyre has summoned Nesta to her home to basically tell her, hey, go do this, get your shit together, or you can go fuck off because you're being a fucking bitch. Basically, Nesta goes, thank you so much for taking time out of your homemaking and shopping to remember me. Okay, whatever. So then Feyre goes, I built a room in this house for you. I asked you to help me decorate it. You told me to piss off. Okay, great, whatever. And then Nesta goes, why would I ever want to stay in this house? What? Okay, so how are you gonna get mad at Feyre and hit her with, oh, thank you for taking time out of your fucking day to remember me. And then Feyre basically says, you're welcome, I did remember you. And then Nesta goes, why the fuck would I want you to remember me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I was waiting and hoping that Feyre would smack her. Just smack her. Ooh, I also highlighted this point when Feyre goes, I'm done paying for you to destroy yourself. Yes, bitch, go off. Okay, so in this paragraph, she's basically thinking about how the House of Wind belongs to Rhys, and Cassian's, like, entire existence is, like, funded by Rhys, basically. Talking about Nesta, it says, she knew that the fastest and deepest way to annoy Cassian, hurt him right now, would be to strike for that, to make him doubt the work he did and whether he deserved to be here. The instinct crept up, a rising wave, each word selected to slice and wound. She'd always had that gift, if it could be called that. Yet it wasn't a curse. Not entirely. It had served her well. So her instinct is to be a bitch. Like, that's literally all that told me. Her instinct is to just be a bitch and insult other people because she feels sorry for herself, and that's the only way that she knows how to cope because she doesn't want to let anybody in, I guess. I don't fucking know, but I don't have time for it. I just think my biggest issue here is, like, yes, people are allowed to have issues. Nesta is allowed to have her own issues, you know? But her issues are nobody else's. And she makes her problems everybody else's when it's her instinct to just insult everybody. Like, stop. Just stop, you know? Just get over yourself. And then later, they're like in an argument, and Nesta goes, keep your fucking opinions to yourself. Okay, so everybody has to keep their opinions to themselves except for Nesta. Like, Nesta is free to share her shitty opinions about everybody with everybody, but nobody else can say what they think about Nesta to Nesta. Make that make sense. Those are all the things that I have highlighted right now. Like I said before, I really honestly just don't think that this book is gonna make me like her. I have no idea what could possibly happen to make me like her. I don't see that in my future. I am so sick of Nesta and her character that I don't even care about this, like, romance that's supposed to ensue between her and Cassian. Like, I don't care. And in fact, I think that Cassian should give himself more credit and try to find somebody better because Nesta sucks. I don't think that she deserves Cassian. And I think that Cassian deserves better than her. Those are pretty much all of the thoughts that I have right now. You know, every page that I read in this book, I just wish that I was reading about Feyre and Rhysand, but you know what? It's okay. I don't think we're ever going to have another book about them. And that's heartbreaking, and that's okay. I can just reread Akamath for the rest of my life, and I'll be happy that way. I also don't want this entire vlog to just be me yelling about how much I hate Nesta, but until this book makes me feel otherwise, I have no idea what else to say. But yes, I'm gonna go read some more and I will talk to y'all later. Guys, Baby Yoda is pissed. We hate Nesta. Okay, but seriously though, when am I supposed to like her? Because it's not happening yet. Granted, I'm only 157 pages in, so like I'm not even that deep. I wanted to say this last time I vlogged, but I forgot. At the beginning of the book, whenever Feyre like summons Nesta and they're like telling her that she needs to go do the training with Cassian, Amren is like, fuck you bitch, I hate you Nesta, we're not friends anymore. Because I think it was in A Court of Frost and Starlight, it talked about like Amren and Nesta becoming like besties and stuff. Apparently they had like some fight and now they're no longer besties. And I really, really want to know why. Whenever it talked about like Amren and her being like tight, like being like besties in A Court of Frost and Starlight, I think, it pissed me off because I was like, no, Nesta doesn't deserve this. No, I hate this. And then at the beginning of this book where Amren wanted basically nothing to do with her, it just made me feel so good. it was relieving to see that. And then like earlier in the book, like, I don't know, Nesta was like, I don't want to train with you, I want to train with Azriel, and then was like flirting with him and shit like a little bit, and I was like, ew, what are you doing? Like, leave him alone. He doesn't want your crusty ass. And then like Cassian's like, you know what, if you don't want to train in the village, we're just gonna train here. And then Nesta's basically like, okay, and they train. And then Nesta's like kind of nicer for the rest of the day because she trained. And obviously it's like, oh, look, we're trying to help you. And then she does the thing that they want her to do, and then she's like in a better mood for the rest of the day. It's like, oh, what? Who would have thought, Nesta? Oh my god! Who would have thought? Whatever. Okay, I have more highlighted things. Wow, that is really bright. Oh, this is where Nesta's thinking to herself. She's like, what she was doing was being a wretched asshole. Yes. Yes. Good job, I guess, for recognizing that you're being a terrible person. Okay, so in this scene, she's like in a shop, like, I don't know, she wanted warmer clothes or whatever, and then she leaves the shop, and like there's people with like their kids, and they're like gawking at her and shit, and it's like italicized, so it's like what she's thinking. It says, "You're right to hide your children from me," she wanted to say. "I am the monster you fear." What? Girl, no one fears you. Everybody just hates you. Like, are you kidding me? No one cares. I am the monster you fear. What? You are nothing. She's just mean. That's all she is. She's just a mean girl. And then I saw this tweet the other day. The tweet said, real bad bitches are nice. The whole mean girl shit ain't cute. And I naturally, of course, thought of Nesta. And I've said this in another reading vlog before. I hate how Nesta acts like she's a bad bitch. And she's not. She's just a bitch. Being rude to everybody and unlikable and mean and insulting everybody doesn't make you a bad bitch. It just makes you a bitch. Let's go on to the next highlighted portion. So in this scene, Nesta is working in the library and she meets, what's her name? Gwyn. And it goes, she'd already conversed with one stranger today, fulfilling her quota of basic decency. Being kind to another one was beyond her. Why? Who does Nesta think she is? She thinks she's like the queen. Later, while she's talking to Gwyn, she goes, I don't know how to say that other girl's name. Clotho? I don't know. Says she would certainly be complaining to Clotho, I don't know, about this impertinent acolyte's attitude. So now we learn that Nesta is not only a bitch, but she's a Karen. And then later she calls Rhys an asshole, and I mean, really, she's just talking about herself. And then Cassian goes, everyone fucking hates you. Is that what you want? Because congratulations, it happened. And I was like, oh my god, King, go off. And then the next day he takes it back. Like, don't take it back, King. You said it. And then later she falls down the stairs and hurts herself, and I left. So that's where we are right now. There was a weird part in the scene where her and Cassian were about to start training, and like Cassian takes off his shirt and she's just staring at him. Like, she's just staring at his muscular abdomen. And I'm like, what? Girl, why are you just staring? Like, you can like what you see, but why are you just staring? Like, that's so awkward. I don't know. Whatever. I think she deserved to fall down the stairs. I think she needs to humble herself, and she needs to just take a seat. She needs to just go sit down somewhere because she thinks she's like the queen, and she's not. So every time I read and I'm like, oh my god, I can't read this anymore, and I look at the page that I'm on, and then I look at the page count of the entire book, I'm like, wow, really? I have like 600 something more pages of this? Great. Really excited. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say right now, so I will talk to y'all later. Hey, so I think we're getting somewhere with this book. Maybe. Don't want to be too hopeful here, but I think we're getting somewhere. This much. Right off the bat, I do want to say, whatever, like, war business is stewing in the background is so irrelevant. It does not matter. Okay, so also, we learned that Feyre's pregnant now. Oh, I didn't even say what page I'm on. Maybe I should say what page I'm on. I am on page 373, so I'm about halfway through. Yes, we know that Feyre is pregnant. Things are happening between Nesta and Cassian, and that's really the plot. That's it. There's nothing else there, except for this, like, war business and, like, stuff in the background that, again, is, like, irrelevant and doesn't really matter. This book is similar to A Court of Mist and Fury. That book is really just about Rhysand and Feyre and, like, their relationship developing and, like, all the mate stuff. Like, that's really what the book is about. But then in the background, you also have this, like, stuff about a war brewing and, like, Feyre, like, learning how to use her powers and, like, all that shit that happened at the end. But that stuff was still significant enough to not just feel annoying, if that makes sense. Like, yes, A Court of Mist and Fury was predominantly about Rhysand and Feyre's relationship and, like, that slow burn throughout the book and the found family elements of whatever. And then we also had the war in the background, that situation happening, but it was not that important. This book is really just about Nesta and Cassian, like, getting it on. And then we have Feyre being pregnant randomly, and then we have another random war brewing in the background. Like, every time we get to a scene where they're talking about the war and, like, things that Azrael finds out, I'm like, I don't know, like, those are the worst scenes to read because I know that I'm just gonna be like, oh my god, like, I don't care. Because it's not important. It's very obvious that Sarah J. Maas wanted to write about Nesta and Cassian, but she had to make it relevant to the series, and she had to tie it in with the rest of the characters. She can't just write, like, fan fiction about her characters, like, you know? I mean, she could, I guess. Which is why I feel like this could have been a novella. Like, if A Court of Silver Flames replaced A Court of Frost and Starlight, and A Court of Silver Flames was about the same length of A Court of Frost and Starlight, maybe a little bit longer, that would have been perfect. And then A Court of Frost and Starlight, or whatever title, could be this book, and it could have been about Feyre finding out she's pregnant, and then, like, having the baby, or trying to deal with that, because apparently that's complicated, and the baby has wings, and she might die. Like, I don't know. I feel like that would have been way more interesting, but I don't know. I guess for people that like Nesta, this is good for them. I'm not gonna say that I'm starting to hate her less, but I'm starting to be more open to her character because she is obviously showing growth. And this is something I was saying before, like, it's okay that Nesta has her trauma and her issues, like, that's all understandable, but her trauma is nobody else's. I mean, there will be scenes where, like, she'll be thinking, like, wow, I suck ass, I was a shit sister, and I'm a worthless bitch, trash monster, and everybody should hate me. I understand her trauma and honestly just how much she hates herself at this point. All of that can explain her behavior and why she is the way that she is, and I totally get that. But it doesn't excuse her behavior. It doesn't justify that behavior. And it's been known from the first book that she's always been this, like, protector of Elaine, and then Elaine goes to see her and she's basically just shitting on Elaine. Is like, fuck you bitch. Get out of here. She basically called Elaine boring and was like, wow, I guess you're gonna be interesting. Like, what is wrong with you? Sit down. Like, what is your problem? At this point in the book, Nesta has shown some progress. As I expected, obviously, through the training and the exercise and being able to get that emotion out of her and everything that she's feeling and whatever, and be able to get it out in a healthy way rather than taking it out on other people. Obviously, that's helping her. Also, because she's working in the library with all the priestesses, she like invited all the priestesses to come to her training with Cassian. So, because I mean, they all have their own stories and trauma and everything. And she's like, well, this is helping me. This could help, like, this could help them. And I was like, wow, that's actually really like kind of admirable of her. Like, that is something that I really liked, seeing that she did like try to get all the priestesses to come to the training. Like, it shows that she cares about them. I liked that in her, and I liked that she did that, but it bothered me so much because I was like, why can Nesta be nice and care about all these people that don't even like really know her? But she can't simply respect her family. But I'm trying to keep a positive mindset here. I'm like, you know what? Baby steps. Baby steps. And that really is all it is. It's just baby steps. I'm hoping. I'm really worrying that at some point she's just gonna go back to being a bitch. And I don't know. I mean, she's still not like nice, but she's getting better, I guess. So I feel like she's making progress. I am interested to see how far this progress is really going to go, because what they do is they just try so hard to like be as nice to her as possible in hopes that she doesn't like be mean, but then they get to the point where they can't take it anymore and Cassian is yelling at her, everybody fucking hates you, and then Nesta's like, feels like garbage. And that's not helpful to anyone. Like, that's not helpful to Nesta, and that's obviously not helpful to Cassian, because he's allowing Nesta to take advantage of him and push him to that point where he's gonna yell at her and say some ugly shit like that. But then it's also not good for Nesta because she continues to think that she can get away with being ugly to other people. But she can get away with it because they allow her to. I don't know, whatever. I could talk about this all day. Her and Cassian make no sense, and I think that, like what they said, whenever it was like starting, they both agreed in that moment. They were like, this is just sex. Like, this is not anything more. Like, this is just sex. I think if it stays that way, it'll be fine. If it starts to develop into more of a actual romance, I don't think that I will like that, because I don't think that their characters make much sense together. Like, I don't think that Nesta and Cassian really have that much chemistry. I think they would make good friends. Like, this friends with benefits situation, I think that works for them. But I just don't think that they make sense as a couple. I think that their whole friends with benefits situation right now is fine for them, and I think that works for both of them, and I think that at least right now in the book, it feels like that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to become a romance. I don't think that they make sense together in that way. Like I said earlier, I'm about halfway through the book. I'm gonna try my hardest to finish this book today. Like, I'm gonna really try. I have work later. Like, it's not like I have the whole day to dedicate to reading. If I did, no problem. But I don't have that time. So I'm gonna try my hardest. So yes, I will check in later when I have more thoughts. Hi, so I am about 500 pages into the book. I think I'm on like page 502. I'm in the final like long stretch of the book, the last like 200 something pages. I think I'm still going to try and finish it tonight. Will it require me to stay up pretty late and do that? Yes. But hasn't stopped me before. You know, earlier I was starting to feel like, you know, maybe Nesta's getting somewhere, but then I was like, but who cares? Really, who cares though? I think what upsets me more about this book, not just Nesta, even though we all know I hate her, I think what upsets me the most is that I really just don't think this is a good book. Like, I think the pacing is honestly really bad, and I think this is probably a very unpopular opinion. I mean, a lot of things I've said in this video are unpopular opinions, because I know that a lot of people love this book. But I think that this is her worst book. I mean, out of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, for me at least, this is her worst book. I think that the pacing is really bad. I think that a lot of things just feel really forced and not genuine. Her and Cassian, it doesn't make sense to me. It feels very forced. I just don't think that this is a good book. I think that this could have been a good book. With Nesta being a character that I don't like and all of that, I think that this book had potential to be better, and it just wasn't. I mean, I still have like 250 pages to go, so that opinion could still change, but at least right now, I feel like this book could have been a lot better. It's honestly just really disappointing because even though I never liked Nesta from the beginning, like from when I started this whole series, I never liked Nesta, and when I found out that this book was about her, I was like not excited for it. I was like, okay, well that sucks because I don't like her. But I loved the series, so I was like, okay, but I'm still excited to read it. Like, I have to end up liking it. Like, it has to be good. Like, I like all these other books in the series. Like, even though I don't like Nesta, like, there has to be something about it that I'm gonna like, you know? And so far, the only thing that I'm enjoying in the book are the scenes with Feyre and Rhys. And even those, I feel like it could be better. I mean, I feel the way that I feel right now. It could change. Right now, if I were to rate this book, I would rate it like 2.5 stars. Not because I don't like Nesta. I don't like Nesta, but that's not why. I just don't think this book is good. That's really it. Also, the sex scenes are getting really irritating. I just don't care about Nesta and Cassian together. Like I said before, I think that Nesta and Cassian would be best remaining as friends, and if there's a friends with benefits element to their relationship, I think that's fine. But I don't think that they make any sense as like an actual couple. Like they just don't, in my opinion. I feel like that is trying to be forced a little bit too much, and it just doesn't make any sense. I feel like that chemistry is not really there with the characters, and it feels like I said, it's just trying to be forced onto us. And the sex scenes are getting really irritating, and it's all really repetitive, and every time that I know that they're about to fuck, I'm like, okay, I don't want to read about this anymore. Like, I don't care. This book is incredibly repetitive. It's just her training, her going to the library, her trying to go down the stairs, and her fucking Cassian. So I don't know. Right now, Cassian and Nesta are hiking a mountain as a form of some kind of punishment, I guess, for Nesta telling Feyre that her baby might kill her because it has wings, and birthing it might kill her and the baby. Which Nesta was not supposed to tell Feyre that, but she did because she wanted to hurt her and she was pissed because they kept some shit from her, which is not really that important. And I mean, I guess it's important, but like, is it really that important though? So she's pissed that they kept this shit from her and like, you know, had a vote on whether they should tell her or not, which they voted on telling her, which I mean, that's still wrong, sure, but she didn't need to get that fucking angry about it. Like, she could have sat down with them and had a mature conversation and been like, fuck y'all want me to get better and you say you care about me, but then you know, do some shit like this. Like, if you care about me, then act like it. That's all she had to say. She didn't have to blow up and be mean and strive to insult. Like, that shouldn't be the goal, you know? Feyre's like, this conversation ends. Shut the fuck up. And then she's like, well, you know what, Feyre? Fuck you. And they're all lying to you too. And then Feyre was like, what? Oh my god. And then Nesta was like, shit, I fucked up. So she ran out. Rhys found Cassian and was like, you need to get Nesta out of the city before I fucking kill her. And I was like, please do. I am now going to go read for hours, finishing the book. So I will talk to y'all when I finish the book and have my concluding thoughts. So I finished the book. What a waste of time. That was just really disappointing. Like, I don't even know where to begin here. Okay, one of the biggest things that I did want to mention before anything else, throughout the book, this, like, Valkyrie girl power kind of message was being reinforced throughout the entire book, and, like, that's fine. Like, that's fine. I liked that, but I had an issue with, at the end, when Nesta, Emery, and Gwyn are forced into the blood rite, and they win, with the way that that entire situation was played out, it didn't really make much sense that they did win. And I just think that that whole entire situation was written really poorly and really lazy, honestly. There's usually never weapons in the Blood Right, and that has been a thing that's been known for multiple books now. And for some reason, this time there were. And it was explained why, but the explanation was extremely vague. It didn't really make any sense. And it ultimately didn't matter either. Like, it didn't add anything to the story. It really didn't add anything to the whole Blood Right situation. At the end of the day, Sarah J. Maas gave the girls weapons in the Blood Right because I guess it would have been too much of a hassle to write an actual good scene of them in the Blood Right and really using their training to win, like really working hard to win, because I mean the other people participating in the Blood Right have been training since they were children. Because in the end it felt like, yes, they won the Blood Right, and you know that girl power message is trying to be reinforced more, but it would have felt a lot more powerful as a message if she had written them winning the Blood Right as the Blood Right is supposed to be. Not with weapons. They're not supposed to have weapons, but they had them. It felt like Sarah J. Maas saying, like, here, I'm giving them weapons so they're gonna be able to win. But it's like, have faith in your own characters? I don't know. I don't know. I think they could have won without the weapons. I think they could have. But no. Sarah J. Maas just said, here's some weapons. They're gonna win now. If they didn't have them, they wouldn't have won. And I don't think that's fair. This book had relatively no plot. Every single plot line that was put in place virtually went nowhere. The Queen Brialyn, or whatever the fuck her name is, who was supposed to be this like threat from the beginning, died in like an instant within the last like 50 pages. And her death ultimately amounted to nothing. So that really went nowhere. And the war and all the shit with the Trove went nowhere as well. We reached no resolution to that plot line in the end. And does it need to reach a resolution? No, there's going to be 2 other books. But there wasn't even any development. Like, there was pretty much no development, especially with the fact that Nesta killed the queen. So we have no idea about the status of that plot line, but then we're also not really driven enough to care about the plot line because it wasn't developed enough. And the amount that it was developed, it wasn't developed well. Like, it was just thrown in there for no reason. Another war with more magical objects. Like, we need something else, you know? I'm pretty sure I said this before, but I think that this book could have made, honestly, a really good novella. I think if this book was between 200 and 300 pages and it was just about Nesta, like if it was just about Nesta and her growth, it would have been a good book. And throw in Cassian in there. And I'm not even going to talk about the mate situation between Cassian and Nesta because why bother? You know, why even bother? I just think that if this was a novella strictly just about Nesta, that could have been a good book. Because at the end of the book, she did grow as a character, that's not deniable. I mean, do I necessarily hate Nesta's character anymore? No, I just think that this was a bad book. Even where she did grow as a character, it felt like out of a 700 and something page book, it took about 600 pages to actually feel like we were getting somewhere. And like I said, if this was a novella strictly dedicated to her, I think that Nesta's story with her growth just would have been executed a lot better and could have been developed a lot better. Not only because it did not need to be 700 something fucking pages long, but because there wouldn't have been any other random plot lines that are like conflicting with Nesta's story here. Like, we wouldn't have this stupid war with these stupid magical objects that really mean nothing. We wouldn't have Feyre being pregnant out of nowhere and then like almost dying because she's giving birth to a baby with wings. Like, that did not need to be in this book. Like, it just didn't. I also read the bonus chapter of Feyre and Rhysand, Also completely unnecessary. I do not think that bonus chapter needed to be written. I think that she wrote it for people that like Feyre and Rhysand and missed Feyre's point of view in this book. I definitely did, but that chapter did not satisfy me. I didn't like that chapter. It did nothing for me. The only parts in this book that I honestly like looked forward to were parts with Feyre and Rhysand, but even those parts I didn't really enjoy because every character felt like really off this entire book. To me, it feels like the only point of view that really works with these books is Feyre's point of view. And this is how I felt in A Court of Frost and Starlight too. It feels like when all these other POVs are introduced, all the other characters fall really flat. And it just doesn't really work that well. And also in the bonus chapter, of course, it has to be really smutty for no reason. Like, if she wanted to make the bonus chapter, fine, but she didn't have to add that. I feel like that took away from something that could have honestly been a nice chapter in the end. I'm trying to think of ways that it could have been better, and I just am not finding ways to make that bonus chapter better. I don't think it needed to be there. It really didn't. If you're gonna have a 700 something page book about Nesta and not have Feyre's point of view in there, then don't add a 9-page bonus chapter for her POV. Like, there's no point. I feel done ranting at this point, and I am just disappointed. I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads, and I wrote in a review maybe 2.75. Somewhere in between 2 and 2.75 is my rating, I guess. If you enjoyed this book, I'm so happy for you. That you did not have to feel the disappointment that I do. Well, there you have it. That concludes this rather stressful reading vlog of A Court of Silver Flames. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!